Okay, international professional artist working out of Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, Canada, with a decade of experience in the arts and culture sector, professor and visual artist, Annie King. Thank you for being here and welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Now we can probably start off, we can introduce how we know each other. And we went to elementary school a long time ago. And we actually got married. Dandy.
Not today.
There's no way I could have you on here and us not bring it up, but we got married, a dandelion wedding. I believe it was in front of Zach Cripps's house. And I know there's a few of my best friends there, and I'm sure a few of your best friends. And we actually had these dandelion rings that we made. Quite the ordeal. I don't know, what were we, about 10 years old? Something like that?
Yeah, I guess whenever, like grade 2 or 3 or something like that.
Wow, unbelievable. Well, we never got divorced, but we technically we're still married. So I'll let Brandon off the hook for that.
I always thought it's so funny that you guys were like best friends as kids, and then I end up marrying him for real.
Very strange, very strange. And he actually used to live, the whole story of it is very strange, kind of kismet or whatever, because he used to live right there in the pea patch and went to the same school as us, I think, but you guys didn't know each other at the time or something.
He left the year before I came. So I never met him as a child. I didn't meet him until he was spry 16-year-old.
Very good, very good. Growing up in SSM, the arts, I actually didn't know that you were so into the arts when we were younger. Obviously, we're younger, and I guess these things don't come out or show as much, but you're very into the arts. And a lot of your stuff, all the community involvement, I really like that. So that's kind of what a lot of my questions and interest comes up. But you did a Bachelor of Fine Arts at Algoma University, and you received the President Purchase Award in 2009. What's the President Purchase Award?
That's when the president of the university purchases a piece from one of the graduating students that's in their thesis year.
Oh, purchases a piece?
Yes.
Oh,
so it's the Algoma University collection.
Oh, very cool. So it's still like hanging up in the university somewhere right now, or part of a collection in a museum or gallery section somewhere?
I don't know if it is hanging up anywhere, but it's part of the archive at the university.
Gotcha. So it's on standby somewhere, much like they have the Criterion collection or something like that for film. Very cool. So he chose yours of all things. What was it of?
The piece was inspired by another artist that is escaping me, but is a photographer, and he was working in like war-torn areas, and I had to watch these documentaries in my film course, and I was having trouble with it. Like it was just too dark for me. So I, in order to kind of deal with that, I decided to make a artwork of it. So it was a large plywood panel that I carved into using a router, and it was of two young girls hiding behind a tree from the debris from a helicopter. So that wasn't part of my thesis work, but that was one of the pieces that they had selected to purchase.
Very cool. And did you say, was it a painting?
We can define it as a painting.
What would you define it as?
Yeah, I guess we would define it as a painting. It's like a mixed media because it was plywood. I carved into it as well and applied paint to it. So it was a combination.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I have somewhere, we'll bring it up later. I've got a note here. Or no, here it is. Focusing on drawing, sculpture, and media installation. That kind of seems, it kind of fits into that category.
When I had the opportunity to go to graduate school, that's when I really pushed more into installation. which wasn't really something that I could explore while I was at Algoma University because it was such a small university, and it just didn't have the facilities for it. So I had known that I wanted to explore it more, and then when I went to graduate school, that's what I focused on.
Right. So you followed up Algoma University, followed that up, studied drawing and intermediate at University of Alberta, getting your master in fine arts. And you're a professor of fine arts now at Algoma, and you have been for how many years?
Since I graduated in 2011, I've been teaching at some capacity. I'm a sessional professor, so it means part time. I'm not tenure track.
So tell me about, so the focusing, when you went to Alberta, focusing on the drawing and sculpture, it's kind of like an odd choice to be like, oh, I want to sculpt things. Like, did you have an end game where you're like, oh, I'm going to be a sculptor? Or were you like, oh, I'm going to take these skills and be a professor? Or how do you decide something like that?
Wow. My whole university has just been flying on the seat of my pants, actually. So I actually started, it's funny you're saying you didn't know I was that much into the arts. So I started my university in a double major, math and bio, because I thought I wanted to go into medicine. And then I realized that I'm probably not emotionally cut out for that type of work. And I took a class at Algoma University as an elective in painting. And then I realized, oh, wow, this is an option. And then after I was done my undergraduate, I was having a panic attack. Okay, what happens next? And my professors suggested that I would be a good candidate for graduate school. And I took the leap. I only applied to the one university. I happened to get in. And I chose drawing an intermedia because of that term intermedia. I knew that, so inter meaning in between, I knew that it would give me flexibility with what I wanted to do. So it's often hard for me to define what I do because it goes in between all mediums. I don't focus in on just painting, just drawing, just sculptural work. It ends up all becoming sort of muddled altogether. So that term intermedia was really important to me.
And then how do you balance, or where does the inspiration, because you do a lot of community involvement. So I may mention a few things that are no longer in existence, but it's stuff that you have done in the past. So let's just start off with, say, SMC 360. So this was something you started that kind of provided equipment, education, space to those interested in creating art projects. It's a member-driven nonprofit organization. What more can you kind of speak on SMC 360? What did it provide to the community? What did it do for people? What is it done now? Is it still going? What's going on?
So SMAC,
SMAC.
Yes, was Student Media Arts Collective, and it was funded by the Ontario Arts Council. So myself and Andrea Pinero and Taylor Jolene, we put together a application to the Ontario Arts Council to begin a media arts collective. And we were operating for a short term, and I was doing a lot of work for that. And it just over time fizzled out as people who were part of it had to move away for school, had to move away for work, and we couldn't get a core dedicated group to see it continue. With that in mind, it's something that I always think about, and I'm hopeful that I can, when I have the time, like reinvigorate that. But I thought it was really important at the time, and I think it did start getting a dialogue of all the different types of artwork that there are out that in Northern Ontario we don't see as much of, because we just don't have the number of galleries that other places have. So we don't have a lot of contemporary work, a lot of avant-garde work. So the work that we're seeing, although of high quality, is of a very narrow genre. So having something like the Media Arts Collective where it could show indie films and digital work, all sorts of different things by artists of all different levels was really important to me. And again, it just became a little bit too much for me on my own. And so it's fizzled out a little bit. But again, still hopeful that maybe one day I'll be able to get it going again.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it has to go away. It's actually too bad that no one could kind of step in to help out or keep it going. I think it's something great. So how do the three of you said you started with three other people. How do you come up with that initial idea? Where does that happen? Are you sitting around and saying, I wish we had this? And then you say, why don't we just start it? Is that it?
Well, I had been working in media art things, which I use a lot in my installations. And this would have been nearly immediately after I had finished my graduate studies. So I had come home and I was, eager to get something going. And then the Ontario Arts Council, I can't remember exactly how it happened, but the Ontario Arts Council had this funding and they really wanted something in the north to happen. So they worked with people from Sault Ste. Marie. I believe a collective started up in North Bay. I believe a collective started up in Thunder Bay. It was all in a hopes to cultivate more media arts in the north, because there was a really big disconnect between how Ontario was creating media arts. The South had it all, and even if there were Northern Ontario artists like myself, there were no facilities to sort of help cultivate that a little bit more.
Yeah, that's great. Give people a little place to go do their things. Were they using it as like a workshop, but then also as like a gallery space for events and stuff too?
Right. So we had some equipment. We had a computer and we had Adobe Suite. And so people could come and use that. They could rent that equipment or use it in kind. The other thing that we did was one of the members, Andrea Pinero, she operates 180 Projects Gallery. So she allowed us to use her space for events such as the Smack Fest, where we showcased local film and media works. And that was a combination of films and an exhibition of media-based works.
That's 180 projects you're talking about there?
Yes.
So that's 180projects.ca. That's kind of a nice segue because that was the next thing up. So 180 Projects, it says, is an alternative art center based in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. We are dedicated to presenting exhibitions, events, and programs that promote discourse on and exposure to a wide range of contemporary and experimental art practices. We do this by acting as a link, a host, and a catalyst, connecting artists, cultural workers, and communities locally and regionally to those elsewhere in Canada and internationally, and providing a supportive, inclusive environment for local and visiting artists, cultural workers at all stages of their careers. That's pretty wild. That's pretty great.
So that isn't me, but those are some fantastic people doing some really important things for the arts community here in Sault Ste. Marie.
That's huge. And then Art Gallery of Algoma. Are you kind of doing, I have a note here that you're an instructor for courses. So is that similar to what you're bringing to Algoma?
Yes, I was working there for a number of years. I taught all ages from 2, 3 with parent tots all the way up to the adult classes. I did some specific courses where I was teaching it in the style of the group of 7, doing some drawing courses. So is it similar but generally is be more basic, or what I do at the university. We get to dive deeper because it's just longer. We get full semesters.
And was there a big graffiti project of sorts that I saw? There was something you were taking part of graffiti wise. Could you talk a bit about that?
So I created a mural. It's on Bay Street. It is a mural that is made up of black and white imagery that's really bold and graphic. And in there, I have the saying that says, throw kindness around like confetti. My hope for that mural was that it would be something that the community can be involved with as well. I made it during COVID. So I was really trying to think of, okay, how can I make this a really positive thing? We all need some positivity right now. So how can I make this positive? So that's when I came up with that. I found that saying. And then I thought, well, how can it be more than just a mural? So I put a call to action with it. So I was calling people to go down to the mural, take a selfie in front of it. And by doing so, they're pledging to make 3 acts of kindness. They can then encourage others to do the same and hopefully, you know, spread some kindness around Sault Ste. Marie.
That's excellent. So what corner is it at, Bay and what? Or where's it at exactly?
It's on the north side of Bay, across from the Roberta Bonder building.
Excellent. And so what's the size of it? And how long does a project like that take you? And is it just you working on it?
I was the official artist, but I called in my sister as my wingman. My sister is also a talented artist. So I got the gig and called her up and said, we need to get this done quickly. And I had confidence that she would be able to execute my design with no problems. So myself, and Todd Fleet from the city, we completed it pretty much in one day, and then just did touch-ups the next day. It was fast, but I knew, like, I was gung-ho.
So you're gung-ho, but did you have a set plan? Like, did you have a lot of prep that went into it? Like, not storyboards, but design and sketches and all this stuff of what you wanted?
It was all really fast. I luckily have some experience, so I can work quickly. I created a storyboard based off of the type of mark that I wanted to have included in the how I wanted it to be solely black and white, and I included the saying in there, and I did a mock-up, and I sent that to the city. Then it was approved, and then I was painting it, and it all happened within, I'd say, a week and a half. And I got the email from Todd and went out to the location. And when I saw the location, I actually changed my mind of what I had initially been seeing, because I had it primed and it was so pristine and white that I knew I wanted to have a lot of white in it. And so I changed my idea on the spot, flipped around, sent them a proposal, and then, like I said, then a couple of days later we were painting it. It was really fast turnover, and I don't think that's normally the case. The situation was that they had a call for that mural, I don't know, the year before or something, and the artist that was slated to paint it wasn't a local artist. So they weren't able to come because of COVID. So it had to be done. And I luckily had contacted Sault Ste. Marie, I don't know their title, but the arts and cultural contact maybe a week before, asking about any mural projects. And so it was just like serendipitous, just happened. And I'm really glad it did, because I was really happy to spread that sort of that that positivity and that idea of kindness. I needed it myself, and so I figured, the community might need it too.
Nice. I haven't seen it yet, but is there anywhere, did they do any promo shots? Like, did they do a before shot of what it looked like before with you standing there the day you went out to like location scout it? And then did they do an after and during and stuff?
I'm not sure if they had. I mean, I have before and afters, and the CTV and Food Today, they came out and did a feature on it. But yeah, you'll have to go onto my Facebook page later and check it out.
So is it roadside when you're driving by?
Mm-hmm.
You'll see it all the time. So that'll be nice. And it should be there for quite a while, I guess.
Yeah, it's part of the landscape of Sault Ste. Marie now. It is in the section that they renovated. So there's a bench right there. You can sit and have a coffee and enjoy the mural.
Nice. I love that idea. Sudbury did it as well. And you said it's by a local artist. I almost feel like it should be by a local artist anyways. I know Sudbury had a major, massive mural project that looked very cool, and it was done all by local artists and good community involvement stuff. So when you're applying for these grants, is it you applying for the grants? Because I've applied for grants before, so I know how meticulous and things they could be. Is that you doing all that?
With the 360, that was a group effort, or at least it was between Andrea and I, and we had many eyes on it to help us edit and stuff. But when I have received personal grants as well from the Ontario Arts Council, and yeah, there's no way around it. You just gotta sit down and fill out a lot of things and be meticulous. I've also sat on juries, so I kind of have a understanding of what the process is like on that end too now. So it's my least favorite thing to do, but a necessity of the career path I'm on.
For sure, but it seems like you've been pretty successful at it. Seems like you've got a couple grants to do these projects.
I've had a couple, and I've had lots of rejections too. I like to say to my students, like, if you can't wallpaper your bedroom with rejection letters, you're not sending out enough.
That's a great tip. I don't think a lot of people understand that so much, especially in this day and age where there's the constant need for, like with social media, for like instant success or instant likes or instant whatever. Right. So I think there's a common misconception there where, say I started this podcast only a couple months ago. Well, me, first of all, I don't really do any promoting of it at all. I'm just doing it mostly for me. It's mostly for me, and if anyone else happens to find out about it, kind of thing. And it slowly grows from word of mouth or whatever. But sometimes I can tell whether I'm asking people to come on or something. They look at it, they're like, oh, one of his videos only had 30 views or something like that, or this and that. And I don't think people understand that when you start something, it takes time to build and grow. And also, I wouldn't want to have like my dream guest as my first guest kind of thing, because where do you build up and grow to from there? But also you're still working out kinks and all these things. So even just, we're on episode 15 right now, just to get to episode 15, but the leaps and bounds I've taken slowly just by episode 15, whether it's getting this silly thing made or just getting the proper equipment and stuff. If you go back and even listen or watch episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm still learning, and, there's still things you're figuring out there. So it's a lot of rejection, a lot of failure. You got to get used to that. And I'm even in that on a deeper scale with the film industry. That is riddled. Like, this is a lot of mini failures and mini rejections. Like, I remember I made a comment on Twitter and some guy was like, yeah, how's the podcast going? And I'm like, I'm not even gonna, first of all, the person's trying to trigger you, but I'm not even gonna retort because I just know they don't understand.
Yeah, it definitely is. avoided social media for a really long time too, and then just recently started using it, and it's such a double-edged sword. There's so many people I've met and had cool discussions with, and I'm a mom now and an artist, and found this like artist mother group, and that's been amazing. But then it's also so draining, and like you were saying, like those that expectation of like now is there. So I like conversations like this where the sort of the reality is shown a bit.
And one thing is, I mean, I'm purposely not posting it to Facebook. I could post it to Facebook, and guess what? I could probably get 300 more views than I'm getting right now. But say the 30 to 50 or 100 or whatever, or 17 views on some videos, I kind of appreciate every single one of those views more, in a sense, because I'm not just flooding social media being like, hey, look at me, watch my thing, I need to become a huge success, please, I need your 300 likes, and then tell your friends and this and that. I don't want to play that game, you know, because I'm tired of that game. I'm tired of seeing that game, and I have played that game like 10 years ago when I was like, I got a Kickstarter and please help and all the, you know, and all that stuff. So it's exhausting. So I kind of did this, and even though this is exhausting, it's like kind of like a side hobby from all the exhaustion in a way. I control my own content. I work at the pace I want. You know, I just finished a film gig, so I've got more time to do episodes, and I've actually like to, you know, I want to have 2, 3, maybe 4 episodes a week right now while I'm off or something, you know, really dive into this. But yeah, rejection is a big thing. Rejection is a huge thing in this industry. I like that quote a lot. If you can't plaster your room with all your rejection notes, then you're not doing it right. And I have this mentality that I'm failing upwards, because I'm kind of failing. I'm failing all the time, really. And I'm having little mini successes along the way too. And I'm probably failing more than I'm succeeding, or whatever. They balance each other out in the long run or something. But you got to kind of always put yourself out there to be able to fail. I think failing is good. It gives you thick skin. It helps you. I think it helps put things into perspective, that I'm not going to put all this time into just one thing and spend my life on this thing. And then once I release it and people don't really like it, it's like, where did all that time and everything go? So.
Yeah, I'm a whole different person now than I was when I first graduated too. And yeah, I think, yeah, you just develop a thick skin over time, and you have to have some tenacity to be a creative person.
You do. So how do you juggle? You said you're a mom of 3 now, is it?
Yeah.
So how do you juggle being an independent artist? Because just being an independent, like, creative artist is such a hard thing. And how I still find it very strange that where you got that feeling. Well, maybe, okay, we'll get to that in a second. Where did you get the feeling you said, oh, I just reached out to the city and wanted to do a mural project. And then a week later they were looking for someone. Like, a mural project just seemed like the next step. That seemed like, what, a challenge? The next challenge? Or how does something like that just pop in your head? Did you see something you were inspired by?
I must have saw like the murals around town and thought, well, you know, that's something I could do. So why don't I try that type thing? I had done large scale paintings, and I had done window painting and stuff with my sister when I was a teenager. So I kind of had an idea. I was confident in it. I didn't think that it would work out that quickly. That was amazing. I just wanted to see what there was out there that I could be applying for. Oh, I think I had heard something about the city supporting women artists specifically, which I don't know if that was the case or just a rumor or what, but I think that might have been one of the reasons why I sent out to the city specifically.
And you mentioned you're with is it a women's artist group that you go hang out with right now?
No, it's just an Instagram group I found online. It's it's Artist Mother Company or something like that. Artist Mother Co. is their hashtag. And it's just really nice to be able to connect with other moms that are dealing with the same struggles of balancing work life. And so I found that was one of the highlights of joining Instagram, was that I found that group, and they have a podcast and I listen to it all the time. It's just really nice to just hear yourself in other people's stories.
For sure. So being a mother of three in the art world, I don't know how you do it because I barely have time and I'm a single person. So I don't know, like, and you're doing murals and teaching and doing this stuff, and you're still doing your own visual art on the side. I saw an Instagram photo where you said, I think it was one of your first ones actually, maybe an Ontario Council project, and you said, thanks to Henry for letting me use the workshop. So are you still doing workshop? You're still getting away? And then I think I saw maybe another post. Here's another tidbit on it is you said, oh, thanks to the family, or maybe it was your birthday or something. You said, thanks to everyone for giving me like an hour and a half today or a couple hours to just go and do my art and clear my head. So it's obviously a very therapeutic thing for you too, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's a huge challenge, and I don't get a lot of sleep because I try to do as much artwork as I can while the children are sleeping. That's why I wanted to schedule this so late in the evening. It's really hard. So that project, that post was made before COVID started. And I was working on, I call it the Petrichor project, that I got funding through the Ontario Arts Council to create new works. And I've created many of those new works, but I still haven't finished that project. And in fact, it's late. So what had happened was when COVID hit and everyone was on lockdown, I couldn't do that project because it's really involved. It's huge scale. It involves resins and blow torches and nail guns and stuff that I can't have my kids around because I have a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and she's 1 now, a 1-year-old, and so that the fact that I didn't feel comfortable leaving my house, so I couldn't get down to the big warehouse studio where I was working on those, was a problem, and I'm still trying to catch up on that work. I am getting back there more now. So what happened with that? Where that studio is in this big warehouse, and when everyone was on lockdown and there wasn't very many people around, it was just like only how do I say this politely? There's like only sketchy people around. So I didn't feel comfortable being alone going to and from that building, especially because the way the building is, you have to like come around a blind corner. And I just was nervous. I mean, if this was 21-year-old Annie, I just would have been like, yeah, whatever, just go and do sketchy things. But now I'm a mom and I got to consider things like that. So that project.
You gotta look out. Warehouses usually aren't in like, posh areas.
Yeah. Artists are not usually in posh areas. But so I have completed some of that work, and in fact, some of that project is on display currently at the Rolling Pictures on Queen Street for Art X.
I want to ask you about Rolling Pictures in a second, but just getting back to something, you mentioned you weren't on social media really. I kind of avoided it for a really long time too, but once I kind of started doing the business endeavors, so to speak, like my production company say, I was like, well, you got to be in the game. Even if I don't want to do all the blah, blah, blah self-promotion, look at me, love me, I'm so great, I'm happy every single day, like all these things, even if I don't want to take part in that, I said, I still have to be hitting basically the basic bottom dollar of this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm up to, this and that, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. So, and I even find that exhausting, or it's just not really me, or it's an extra step, an added piece of work. Oh, I got to put this thing. What's the hashtags now? What's this? I got to keep up on it.
I also have been using it to create, like I'm creating work almost that's more specifically for it. So using it as an art platform. So one of the projects I had been doing, and it comes out of being a mom too, and um, I breastfeed, so I'm like stuck in a spot for a long time. So sometimes the phone is like all I have. So I started creating these collages, these video collages that I would post to Instagram, and they're all about mental health, about just sort of either being present or like being acknowledging that it's okay to feel really weird right now because everything is topsy turvy. Um, so I think those were in part for me, but also hopefully someone else can get use out of it. So I started really looking into the importance of Instagram when I was creating a new course for the university when we were moving to online learning. So I created a course called Art Making in a Pandemic. It was an art history and studio-based course, and we looked at other pandemics and how those affected artwork, and we worked our way up to present day. And as I was researching, I was finding that many artists were utilizing things that are out there, different social medias, different platforms, in ways that were really thoughtful and creative and genuine. Like as you're talking, it seems like that's the thing that you want to hold on to the most. It's like you just want to be genuine. You just don't want any of the BS. And I agree. That is like my number one motto. Is like I just want to be genuine. So when I was researching how these other artists were doing this, and these, I think that kind of um, influenced those works as well, and not in any like real conscious way. I mean, I don't think anything I've done in the last little bit has been like conscious in a way. I'm just kind of doing things and acting and reacting and surviving.
Well, there's certain things I kind of work in a similar way where I kind of know the next project I probably want to tackle, or if I don't, I kind of take the time and figure it out. Don't force myself, just let it come. It comes naturally, kind of thing. Um, and then I kind of need to pick and choose when I'm going to do it. So I kind of marinate on it for a little bit, and I almost don't even know what I'm thinking about it, or oh, I'm just like, I like that. I might want to put that in there. So I just do all my notes and everything. And then as time goes on, all of a sudden I've got this thing that I've been working on that I didn't really know I was working on, that now I am working on it. I'm ready to sit down and actually work on it, and it comes to fruition. So I think it's all kind of like half there, half not. You're thinking about it, you're not. So it's subconscious. You know you are, or you don't know you are, but you are something.
Mm-hmm. With having three kids and everything like got flipped on its head, so um the way I work now is probably not the way I was working before, but um it's like out of necessity, I guess. The reason why I had applied for that big project was actually because I had a child. I had just had a child, and I wanted to continue working, and I knew that my husband Brandon would be able to take time off. So I had time because I had care for my children. But Brandon's back to work now, and so there's not my greatest enemy is time, um, because there's just so many responsibilities in the day outside of my career. So I'm always trying to like find slivers of time to fit that in.
So that project is going to be, it's on standby right now, and it's going to be finished to be determined once things kind of get figured out
Yeah,
here.
I'm still working on it, but I just can't work on it in the dedicated way that I thought I would have.
Are you allowed to say what it is and then where
Yeah,
it will be after, or what it would be for?
so it's the creation of a new body of work. It I have part of it, as I said, on display at ArtX. It's a grouping of artwork centered around themes of mortality. I was thinking about mortality. I was thinking about eco anxiety that I've had for a number of years. The world's like on fire and it's terrible. um, so I was thinking about that, and this was all before COVID too. That I was thinking about this, so it kind of seems really um, important that I continue it now. Thinking about disease. This all stemmed from other work that I've been doing. If you get a chance to look at my work, there's a series called the Four series, and I dedicated that to people that I have lost, and the idea is that if anybody purchased the work, that they would be purchasing it in memoriam of someone. So I had a like 7-year span where I basically was losing someone every year to cancer. Because the cancer rates in Sault Ste. Marie are astronomical. And yeah, so that was in response to that. And so this was a bigger project where I was thinking more about that. And then I thought that it could be less about just individuals, but maybe about mortality of space, mortality of environment. Um, yeah, sort of larger than. I don't have it all worked out yet. I always kind of have a general idea and then I work it out as I'm going. But there are going to be large burned panels. I did a performance, which is videotaped and on display at ArtX, where I burned the panels on the shores of Lake Superior and then painted into them. They're 6 foot by 4 foot. There's going to be a series of 20 of those. I have on the go what I'm terming contemplation rooms. So there are these small rooms, like 4 by 5 foot, that you enter in, and they have collage material and natural material and burned, and it's a whole installation. Those are in progress. I believe there's 5 of those. And then one of the major things that I'm working on is a kinetic sculpture that involves casting dead birds, and they'll be like hung, and then there's a mechanism that when you crank it, it moves the birds. So you feel like when it's cranking, you think like, oh, there's these beautiful birds in flight, like murmuration, and then when you get closer, you realize that they're all dead. A bit dark.
Wow, this is amazing. I had no idea that it was such a grand scale. Like when I was thinking about this, I was like, oh, you got your project and it's, maybe it's another mural or maybe it's another, canvas painting or something. I had no idea. So this is like an all out event, exhibition, installation, different rooms. So you're going to take up that whole warehouse kind of thing.
Well,
or like, I don't know how big it is, but you're going to take up a lot of room in that warehouse.
Yeah.
For this thing. Very cool.
Originally, I was supposed to exhibit this work at the Art Gallery of Ogilma, and that is now, I don't know what's happening with that. So I don't know if that will be happening, but I'm going to source out other locations to exhibit it. And if I can't find like traditional spaces to exhibit it, I'm going to try to find a space that in nature or something to exhibit it. I will use a bit of that tenacity I was talking about and make something happen.
Okay, so Rolling Rock Pictures. I think they have an editing suite in Toronto. They're based in Toronto here. And then I did see something recently that they have something in the Soo. They're doing editing, I guess, in the Soo. Or they have a studio
Yeah.
there, and then you have what, some artwork or something hanging there?
So, not to speak entirely for them, but they, yes, are a Toronto-based company, and they purchased a building here in the Soo, and this is their satellite editing space. So they had recently built it, and it's they are still working there, but a very small scale, because many of their projects got um, canceled or deferred, or I don't know how it would be called. And they had this space, this beautiful contemporary Finnish space with their offices, and it's a unique exhibition location. But they had this space and it wasn't being used, so they went to the city and said, what can we do with this? We'd like to, showcase some local artists. So that was another time where the city contacted me and said, we know for this first one, we want to have some artists that probably have some work all ready to go. And it's really short notice. And we know that you're okay with short notice. Would you like to participate? And so we did, and it's been great. They did a promo video, and I got to know Robert from Rolling Pictures really well. Great guy. I'm so glad it's another person that's part of our community now. And yeah, I got to meet 2 other local artists and exhibit alongside them. And I think our show is really unique and fun because we have different types of art in there and people in different areas. So like Mark's work is more commercially viable. He does a lot of like pop culture references, that sort of thing. And then we have Aaron, who's doing these amazing abstract works, and he's getting really serious about his work, and it's really fun to watch him paint. He actually painted in the location, which was really fun. And then we have myself, which is doing some stuff that maybe not a lot of people would have seen here in Sault Ste. Marie, because it's a little bit outside the norm.
And what is it you think you want from your art?
I don't know. Meaning of life. No, just kidding.
Like, what do you want? What do you want in return, maybe, by doing it? Why do you do it?
I'd like to think that I do it because I'm hoping to connect with someone in a different way. So I feel like that's just another way that I can communicate, probably a better way that I can communicate. And my hope is that with that project in particular, the Petrichor project, that people can have time for quiet and time to reflect, because I think we don't give that to ourselves a lot. So I guess it'd be like a gift of quiet and a gift of slowness, or yeah. And I think I need that for myself too.
So you're happy giving it as a gift without really expecting anything in return, other than hopefully it gives people pleasure of the mind, body, or soul, something like that.
Yeah.
I do it because I'm a glutton for punishment and I love torture. I'm a tortured soul and a glutton for punishment. Okay, so the ArtX project, people can see your stuff at Annie King Artist on Instagram.
Yeah.
And you recently started a project with your sister, who you said is also a talented artist, and it's called
Mhm.
Sisters Make Stuff. And it's on YouTube and Instagram as well, and Twitter and all that stuff. Or
Twitter. I don't even know how to use Twitter.
Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah.
And you guys came together what recently and decided just recently somewhat?
Yeah, well, I think we had been talking about it for a while because my sister and I are really close, but we live in different cities. So she's in Sudbury, and it's not too far away, but it's far enough of a drive that we don't see each other very often. And my sister is a nurse by practice, but she really wanted to get back into art making more. She had gone to college for art fundamentals before she decided she wanted to become a nurse. And anyway, so we just wanted something that would get us creating together. And so we brainstormed a whole bunch of ideas and we really simplified it down to making short time-lapsed videos of us creating. And they're set to either calm or happy music. And the idea is it's a bit of escapism. Just like 3 minutes of bliss, drink your tea, watch the sweet little video, and, just
So
relax.
is it kind of set up motion, like you guys are drawing or painting, it's things like that? Maybe it shows the finished outcome or piece at the
Yeah,
end and like that.
exactly. So it just follows along from blank canvas to the full complete painting being done. I actually have these ones behind me here are some of them from that.
Nice. And is there a set theme, or you're just, I mean, it's Sisters Make Stuff. It's general, but it's a nice, very pleasant title. It's a catchy title. So is there like any set theme, or you guys just kind of flow, like you said, you just fly by the seat of your pants, or?
Oh, this one's not quite so seat of the pants. We have a more of a formula. So we're working with series of 10. So so far we've done a series of 10 charcoal drawings of animals, 10 acrylic paintings of florals. I'm in the middle of 10 portraits. My sister is in the middle of doing 3D drawings, which are really super fun. And they blow my mind every time. So we're doing them in series of 10. The original works will eventually be for sale, and we will have prints available, digital prints available, so people will be able to download high quality images to print themselves. We're not set up for that yet. We're still pretty fresh and new, but that's the idea, is to generate some revenue to kind of offset the project.
And I saw you guys are having a little giveaway where once you reach 100 subscribers, you're giving away a piece of artwork. Is that it?
Yeah. So when you reach 100 subscribers, you can change your URL from just gibberish to something sweet and nice. So that was
nice.
our,
Okay.
like, we had little mini goals.
Baby
And
steps.
yeah, exactly. And that was one of our first major goals, I would say, because we just really want that Sisters Make Stuff URL. So
I had something similar. I was like, I if I'm starting this, because the thing is, I'm jumping into this podcast thing when it's very oversaturated and everyone's been doing it forever. And I actually hated them for a long time until I was like, oh, maybe it's because I actually want to do one and not watch other people's or listen to other people's or kind of thing. But yeah, the YouTube thing and the subscribers and reaching these goals and mini goals I gave myself, I said 50 episodes. I said, I don't want it to just be a flash in the pan. I know a lot of people started it and they only did maybe 10 or 12 episodes. And they're like, oh, this is too much work, because it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. doing these kind of little side projects and trying to make them professional and still putting the right amount of time and everything into it. And I said, well, you know, about maybe 50 episodes is good as a mini goal, because by 25 or something, I'm going to start reaching people that I'm going to run out of certain people I want to talk to and start after getting outside my comfort zone and blah, blah, blah kind of thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think mini goals are really important. You don't get to the top of the mountain with one jump. It's a bunch of little steps climbing kind of thing.
Exactly. And we're just having a lot of fun doing it right now. It is a lot of work, but as long as we're having fun, and we knew that too, that it takes a really long time because it's, like you said, oversaturated, just like podcasts. And so we just need to stick it out and just make sure that we're doing quality work that we're proud of.
That's great, because I even watch people now that, you know, they're successful now, and say success ranges from 5,000 subscribers to 30,000 to like tons or whatever. But you know, that's 6 or 7 years of them doing it, and they say, oh, you should see the videos at the start, you know, and all this and that. So, but like you said, I think as long as you're having fun, because I'm having fun doing this, so the work is a lot. I know it's a lot of work, but it doesn't bother me as much because it's fun.
Same.
So I think that's important. I think that's a good note actually to end it on. And before we go, we'll just do one little thing around here that we call the gauntlet. What shape is the sky?
The word myriad comes to mind.
Oh, wow. A countless or extremely great number. Where does the time go?
You answer that and tell it I want some back. Where does the time go? Honestly though, weren't we just 10 years old?
Which apocalyptic dystopia is most possible? Zombies, cannibals, Mad Max, Hunger Games, Black Mirror.
I'm not familiar with all of them, but I'm going to say like some sort of Hunger Games version.
Why is a boxing ring square?
So you can have corners for the boxers to go in?
That's the best answer I've heard yet. That's actually my answer, because we wouldn't have corners for the boxers to go in. I think it's one of the best answers I've heard yet. Excellent work. Excellent work. No one said that one yet, and that's been the one that if anyone asked me, I was like, that would be mine. And why are we here?
Why are we here in the world or on this spot?
Why are we here? Like I said, you can answer it any way you want.
To sign the divorce papers.
Perfect. And what does the world need most?
Genuine kindness.
Genuine kindness. Beautiful. Okay. Well, thank you very much for stopping by. Just stick around here for a second after I sign off. And that's Annie King, everyone. Artist Annie King, visual artist Annie King. And you can find her stuff on Instagram at Annie King Artist, and on YouTube and Instagram under Sisters Make Stuff. And that's our episode for this evening. I hope you enjoy, and we'll see you next time.